to say something, I'm going to say hello.
Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
Yeah, just have a good meeting. We'll talk later.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start the regular meeting of the Henry Ford College Board of Trustees, April 15th, 7 p.m., we're a little behind, 7:05 p.m. Roll call, please.
Hussein Berry.
Here.
Mary Lane.
Here.
Roxanne McDonald.
Here.
Michael Mead.
Here.
Adel Mozart.
Here.
James Thorpe, here. Chair Mary Pelichkoff.
Here. Next, please.
Approval of minutes for the following Henry Ford College Board of Trustee meetings. The regular board meeting from March 18th, 2019, closed session March 18, 2019, and special meeting from April 4, 2019. Recommended action, make any necessary corrections, and move the approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Support. Yes,
Are you
trustee.
calling for changes?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a couple and they're minor changes. First with the regular meeting minutes. If you go to page 3, President's item, and this is minor, but the fourth bullet point down, it says Founder's Day is a PTA event and it's not, it's a DPS event. Did you see that?
Oh, it says DPS, but it's a
Yeah, it's a
PTA
PTA
event. Yeah, it's not Dearborn Public Schools.
Right.
Yes.
And then the second one is if you go down to action item number 8, it calls for a closed session, that one. It said counts of A's is 6, not 5. It says 5, it should be 6. And the same correction needs to be made on number 9. Whoops. You see it?
Mm-hmm. Are there any other corrections?
I also have one that I'd like to add to the special meeting minutes. I'd like the meeting minutes of the special meeting just to reflect that I was in favor of following the procedural guidelines set forth by the MASB for filling a vacant board seat. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any other corrections, additions? All right, then. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Please attach a unanimous roll. Next, please.
Recognition and acknowledgements.
Thank you, President Cavaluna, Chair Patlikoff, and members of the board. My name is Tammy Rodriguez Batista. I am an F1 international student from Brazil. I graduated from Primo Ferreira High School in 2013 and then started working on a bachelor's degree in civil engineering at Universidade Anhembi Morumbi. I wasn't happy with my academic performance and I needed a change. That's why I decided to begin anew in Michigan. I started at Henry Ford College in the winter 2018 semester. My major is Architecture and Construction Technology. When I complete my degree at HFC, I plan to get my work visa in order to stay in the country. I would also love to obtain my bachelor's degree in either architecture or civil engineering. HFC has been an amazing experience for me. My grades are the best that they have ever been, and I just got accepted into the honors program. Now I'm pleased to read this month's HFC Board's acknowledgement. On Saturday, April 6th, the Black Male and Queens Focus Group hosted the inaugural Black Male Retention and Success Conference. Attendees included 186 participants and 11 college university admissions representatives and educational consulting firms representing 5 states. The event included 15 plenary sessions and a panel discussion about moving forward in the creating of a statewide initiative to be housed at Henry Ford College designed to increase Black male retention. Inquiries have been already begun regarding next year's conference. Congratulations to Dr. Calvin Deron Havel and the Black Male and Queens Focus Group for a very successful event. Congratulations to Andrew Campbell, Academic Advisor, Jamie Petheroff, EA3 Assessment, and Kelsey Solo, EA4, on completing their master's degree in Student Affairs Administration. On April 7th, the Career Service Office teamed up with JCPenney and the Fairlane Mall to offer a special Suit Up Day event. Over 130 students, faculty, and staff attended the event. The School of Health and Human Services applied for and was awarded the Nurse Professional Fund Grant for approved nursing educational programs in the amount of $12,000. The money will be used to purchase items for the simulation laboratory. HFC's African American Association sponsored a student versus staff basketball game. The event was held as a food drive in support of HFC's Hawk's Nest. Many pounds of food were donated and over $200 was raised. The HFC student basketball players walked away as the champs. HFC's student-run newspaper, The Mirror News, received 24 awards at the 2019 Michigan Community College Press Association Conference. Among the awards, The Mirror News won Best Overall Design and third place in Overall Excellence. Creative editor Justin Randalls won runner-up for Journalist of the Year. The following Mirror News students won summer fellowships at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor: Madison Fetterman, Olivia Grantham, Justin Randalls, Carrie Welch, Elias Perry, and Rose Albayat. Elias Perry and Justin Randalls won vote411.org Get Out the Vote video contest. The Mirror News photojournalist Joshua Tufts was hired by the News Herald as a photographer. Online editor Jessica DeAfonso was recruited to work for Mails O'Reilly's office, writing PR this semester. She interned at the Detroit Metro Times and has been recruited to freelance for the Press and Guide and the News Herald thanks to the work she did on the Mirror News. She will be attending U of M Ann Arbor in the fall. Congratulations to everyone on the Mirror News for a job well done.
Ms. Rodriguez Batista,
Yes.
how long have you, you said you started with us in the winter of 2018.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the United States?
Roughly 2 years.
Where did you learn your English?
Back home.
Okay, well, they must have been pretty good at teaching you. Your English is fantastic.
Thank you.
What, have you thought about the 2 years you're going to spend after Henry Ford College?
No.
Okay. It was all you could do to, this was the long one. They picked you for the long list
Yes.
of commendations. Well, thank you for coming to our country, and thank you for coming to our institution, and thank you for getting through. I was reading this and I was thinking, this poor woman, how's she going to get through all these names and all these groups? And then I realized, and I was assuming, but I'm now sure of it, that English was something that you had to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm so impressed, and I think I speak for all the staff at Henry Ford College when I say thank you for trusting us with your education. I'm happy that when you got here and did decide to attend Henry Ford College, you found what you had not found before, which is a place where you feel comfortable and successful in academics. And of course, if there's anything that any of us can do as leaders of the institution, I do want you to reach out to us. And don't run away. There usually is a couple questions from some of these trustees, maybe not tonight, but.
Okay.
Yes, Trustee Lane.
I'd just like to echo, your English is flawless. It really is great. I think you should go back and tell your English teachers that they really worked well with you, so, yeah.
Okay, I will.
Anyone else? All right, then, well, thank you very much. And you are free to leave if you have
All right.
other things you would like to attend to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You guys are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Next item, please.
President's items.
Thank you, Trustee Thorpe. The packet that you received from the able Ms. Demetriou has a couple financial documents in it that I'm sure you're all well aware of what they mean, but I'll just point you to them once more. In the event that this is your first trustee meeting, I will tell you, Trustee Mosey, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. This is what I lovingly call the rainbow chart of cash. And that's because it has various colors on it, and it depicts our cash position. And I'm looking forward to the time when Trustee Mosey, you and I have an opportunity to sit and have lunch, and I think we're planning on doing that very soon. I believe Dr. Maleko is going to join us, but I will go in detail about what this document notes. But for those of you trustees who have been with us on the board for a while, you know this depicts what our cash position is all throughout the entire year. And this was a safety mechanism put in place by Vice President Sadkowski and my predecessor, President Jensen, so that we could make sure we never got close to the position that Vice President Sadkowski and Dr. Jensen faced. And that document does show that we are in good stead in that regard. The other financial document that you trustees do have before you is the budget update for the end of March 2019. And you'll recall that we updated our budget about halfway through the fiscal year. And with that updated budget, we now track how we're doing with that. And nothing extraordinarily alarming or new to report to you here. At our mid-year adjustment, we did adjust the budget down on both revenue and expenses. And through March, finishing up the third quarter here, we have a really tight alignment with the adjusted budget. You can see on the far right, you've got we are off by expenses by less than 1%, and our revenues are up, but by less than 0.5%. So the budget is tracking exactly what you all accepted as the adjusted budget at our mid-year. You know, I made a reference to what my predecessor, Dr. Jensen, faced along with the Vice President Sadkowski, and I would be remiss if I didn't note at this time that one of the individuals that served this institution with distinction during that process is Dr. Glass. Cynthia Glass was Vice President, and if you knew Dr. Glass and you knew her history at this institution, I think she had almost every title there was except for President. There was Director, there was Vice President, there was Chief of Staff, and I want to take this opportunity to say what has already been publicly acknowledged, but Dr. Glass has left our institution and has taken a position as Vice President at a higher education institution in the state of New York. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least publicly acknowledge her, what I believe was almost 9 years of service to this institution, and as I mentioned, in various roles and with distinction, particularly before I came to the institution, but particularly when the institution was going through the financial crisis that it experienced some 5 years ago, excuse me. And just in my short time when I was serving with you all on this college's leadership team, Dr. Glass was instrumental in helping me with several aspects, many of which I have communicated to each of you trustees, with the exception of the new trustee. But I'd like to say publicly that Dr. Glass was very helpful with me in understanding the security apparatus here on the college campus. She was instrumental in developing the process that this board has authorized us to reevaluate whether our campus security is what it needs to be, and if not, if we need any changes. Dr. Glass was also instrumental in putting together what I think she titled, but certainly the group titled, the Labor Coalition, which was a collaborative, and I believe it still is a collaborative method whereby our institution reviews positions that are being posted, and and now the Labor Coalition still invites all the labor leaders from our institution to give input on what those positions should be. I know, she spent some cold time out advocating for the passage of our millage. She was on vacation, of course, and that was not college time, but she was advocating for the passage of the millage. And this is just a small representation of what she did for our institution, and I'd like to acknowledge all of those things. And I do wish her well. We had a going away party for her, I believe, a little more than a week and a half ago. And those of you who knew Dr. Glass knew that she put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I'd like that to be something that everyone knows I acknowledge here publicly. On the agenda for things I want to acknowledge, I want to acknowledge what we saw here as a community. We saw a change in leadership. We have a new trustee, and this trustee is not unknown to the community, and we had another leader of our community do what is a ceremonial process, but I want, as the leader of this institution, to say something publicly that is important to me. We do these things because we want to signal to the community that this is an important position, that this is a person who is a leader of our community, and that when we do important things in our society, we swear an oath. And what we saw was someone swearing an oath, and I've sworn oaths. Everyone on this dais has sworn oaths, even Miss Demetriou, I think, when she decided to keep working with me. But
She wasn't quite sure what that was.
But jokes aside, I want it to be clear that the staff of Henry Ford College is proud to work with you, Mr. Mosip. And I've been a part of the community for 9 months now, and I really don't think I could have lived in this community unless I were living under a rock if I didn't know who you were. You're an advocate for what you believe, and you're passionate about public education. There's no doubt about that. And I look forward to working with you, and I can commit to you that any member of my team at the college will do the same. So please do, as any of the other trustees on this board does, please do reach out to us if we can help your transition, and we welcome you to the college community. It's something we're very proud of, and we're glad to have you on board.
Same here. Thank you.
Colleagues, I was proud to have the governor visit us about, Mr. Demetriou, was it 2 months now? It goes fast. The governor came and visited us, and I was happy about that, and I took the chance when she was here to ask her to speak at our commencement, which is fast approaching now. And right near that time, you may have seen she made a public announcement that she was going to give a commencement on the very same day at this other institution in Ann Arbor that has blue and gold and some big letter. And I wasn't to be dissuaded. I said, well, we have 2 commencements on that day. I'm sure that you're going to be speaking in the morning or the afternoon in Ann Arbor. Maybe you should come here whichever one you're not. And I'm happy to say that they did not say no for quite some time. And my understanding is that at the cabinet level, they debated it quite vigorously. But alas, we did not get all the way across the finish line. She cannot attend to give a speech at either of our commencements. However, the consolation prize, which I happily took as a gift nonetheless, is that the governor has promised to give us a video message that she's allowing us to give some input on, so that our graduates do feel like the governor of our state is addressing them. And this way, that she'll be speaking to both commencements.
Yeah.
So maybe it's even better. On to a little bit of business, and then I'll be quiet, Madam Chair, because the people who are going to talk next are much more impressive than me. The board had asked that I endeavor to draft a request for proposals for legal services outside of our institution. You may recall that the question was raised about whether we were currently in a contract with any law firm for those services, and I was able to communicate to you all that the answer to that was no, at least not a contract that requires us to continue service with a particular law firm. And so that we were at liberty to send out a request for proposals. I have that draft, and I can't claim any responsibility for it because the hard work really was done by Fred Steiner, John Satkowski, and Amy Clark. I can tell you this, they literally worked on it over the last week and into the weekend, because I said we really need to have it for the board. So I'm going to pass that around to you all this evening. I do believe that it was the board's proclivity that this go through the Finance Committee. Is that right, Ms. Demetriou? However the board directs me in any way, the last direction I have is that it would go through the Finance Committee. And then finally, I want to let you all know that I was proud to attend a room dedication at our East Campus in the nursing department for what we've now called the Vivian Foster room, which if you've been on the East Campus, you know there's a big room. It has a nice fireplace and almost a kind of dais at the front. We received a substantial gift through the efforts of Reginald Best and his team that moved us to ask you for the authority to name this room the Vivian Foster Room, and I was happy to attend that. Mr. Best, was that a month ago?
Yes, about a month ago.
Okay, okay. The time flies when you're having fun, Madam Chair.
Well, we don't want it to stop.
Well, I'm about to stop talking, so that is all I have for you all. I appreciate your indulgence, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Are there any questions? All right, then. Next item. Thank you, President Cavalluna.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Special reports, inaugural Black Male Retention and Success Conference, Board Report 4502, Vice President Nealon.
Good evening. I'm going to ask Dr. Calvin Harvell to please join me. Dr. Harvell is from our sociology program in the social sciences department, and he also leads our Black Male and Queens focus group. We already heard a little piece in the acknowledgements of what we were up to just a weekend ago, but I want to just preface this with a little bit of data. Tomorrow, President Cavalluna, Dr. Herbst, and I will be joining colleagues at a Detroit Drives degree meeting. And it was at this meeting, hosted by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, where this data was first brought to my attention. When seeking the opinion of 8th graders in the city of Detroit, we asked, how many of you believe that college is in your future? How many of you want to go to college? And 96% of the hands went up. Sadly, 44% of those students will actually enroll in college. 27% will actually complete college after giving 6 years of effort towards that end. And for Black male students, that number can be in the single digits. Faced with that reality, we just could not allow that to pass as satisfactory. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Harvell to tell you what we started, because we honestly do believe this is a launching pad to someplace very exciting.
Dr. Neal, thank you so much. Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Henry Ford family, I thank you all for allowing me the time to come up and speak about the work that we have been engaged in, very important work that we have been engaged in. My name is Calvin Derone Harvell, Professor of Sociology here at Henry Ford College. Also, I'm the coordinator of the Black Male and Queens Focus Group. Queens means quintessential, unique, essence of ebony, necessary sisters. We are a comprehensive academic and social support network here on campus for all students. I want to make sure that I say that, for all students. If you ever stop by our office, you will see that we have a diversity of students that are in and out of the office every single day and coming and engaging in terms of our services. Okay? When I say that we are a comprehensive program, I do mean comprehensive. We do everything, whether it be tutoring, whether it be advising students in terms of what courses to essentially take, sending them to counselors. We take students off to visit four-year institutions, and when I say everything, one of the things I'm most proud of is I drive the bus to get them to these particular places. And it's always interesting because parents, of course, love that I'm going to be on the bus, and I've gotten to an age now that the speed limit says 70, I'm doing about 67. So everybody, some of the time the students get a little frustrated with me, but the most important important thing is that we're going to get there safe, we're going to return safe, and we're going to be comfortable. Then, of course, I always make sure that I tell them all. Normally, we leave at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. They're asleep for the first 3 hours in the first place. So by the time that we get there, they finally wake up. So as long as I'm not asleep, we're in good shape. So again, a comprehensive academic and social support network. Now, today I'm going to talk a little bit in terms of our conference and some of the work that we essentially do. One of the things that I'm going to attempt to do is make sure that I say thank you to some individuals who have been instrumental in terms of our work and continue to essentially support us to make us successful. One of the things I want to make sure that I say again is a part of my culture to always say thank you. And so I must make sure that I say that if I forget anyone, as my mother would always say, please charge it to my head and not to my heart. And so forgive me if I do not give you the proper thanks, but I want to make sure that I do that. So before I do that, if you all do not mind, I was told to make sure that I brought our programs that we essentially had for our inaugural Black Male and Queens Focus Group Conference. And so I wanted to give these to the board. Thank you, Dr. Dillon. I appreciate that. Make sure that the board has that. Okay? The next thing that I want to do, and this is going to show actually how busy I am with the group. And again, I teach sociology as well, and the group is wow. But I have had this plaque for the Board of Trustees, and I hope you all don't get mad at me, since November of 2017. Every time that I think I'm going to come over here, something happens. I say, I'm going to make it to this particular meeting, something happens. A student walks in, student needs something. So my wife told me, she said, listen, it's the board. They're going to understand that you were taking care of student needs. I don't think that they're going to get too upset with you if you don't get it to them, as long as you get it to them. So I'm not sure if I can just pass this to you, that everyone will have an opportunity to essentially look at this thing. And then I want to make sure that I acknowledge an individual who came to our conference. And again, we try to make sure that we say thank you at all times. Mr. Hussein Berry, if you recall when we called you, when I acknowledged you at the conference, this conference it was a lot of work, and I want to apologize to you again. I had these on the day of the conference, but I had left some things in my car and in my office. I was running all over the place. So I hope you will forgive me that I did not have this for you on the day of the conference, but I did want to make sure that I brought this to you today. So again, I appreciate you coming out and being with us, and I apologize I was unable to get that to you on the day of the conference. All right.
Now, Dr. Harvell, that was the conference on this campus that you organized, correct?
Yes, I'm about to. Yes, sir. I'm going to make sure that I go into this thing because I'm trying to be careful of my time. Normally, I teach 3-hour sessions, and so at times I'll get into it, and it's going to be all over with, and the students are, can we take a break? And so I'm trying to make sure I'm mindful of my time. All right, now, yes. We have been working. One of the things we talk about in terms of retention, and my argument is there's some wonderful work that's going on throughout the state, throughout the country, but particularly the best work is happening here at Henry Ford and the Black Male and Queens Focus Group. And so what we wanted to do, and what I've argued throughout history, is that people are doing magnificent work, but they're not making connections with each other. So there's certain things that are happening in a program across the state that I should be using in our program. Certain things that are happening in some other states that we all need to come together and have a type of meeting of the minds. And then if we're truly serious about the retention of students, we pick and choose what we need and essentially apply whatever's working to getting these students to the finish line. So the goal of the conference, right, it is our inaugural Black Male Retention and Success Conference. And one of the things that I always talk about, because someone asked me about the title, they said, well, retention and success, they're the same thing, aren't they? Absolutely not. I remember when I was in school, there were some students who, when I came in as a first-year student, they were already seniors, okay? And when I graduated after 5 years, they were still at my institution. I had a cousin who came 2 years after I graduated. That sounds right. And she was telling me, so-and-so told me to tell you hello. I said, where did you see them at? They're still here. So what that means is that the school had retained them for 10 years, 11 years, and the school did not have, at that time, a master's program or a doctoral program. So they were on the 15-year, 4-year plan or something of this nature. So they had been retained, but they were not successful. So there is a systematic difference between retention and being being successful. So what we are doing with the Black Male and Queens Focus Group, and I always talk about this, is the production of a culture of success. When we talk about the issue of culture, what is culture? Knowledge, values, beliefs, and material objects that are passed from person to person, one society to the next, and one generation to the next. And so when we talk about a culture of success, every single thing that I do in that office, every single thing that I do on campus is about retaining students and making sure that they are successful. We have to live, breathe, talk, walk this thing if we're going to make sure students get to the finish line. So the first thing we're doing is in terms of retaining students, making sure that they have proper access to those things that are going to be able to allow them to navigate challenges or dismantle whatever challenges are going to be in their way. And so one of the things that we do is we do not look at things from a deficit model. My students don't have any deficits at all. Okay? We do not look at this from a deficit model. We look at everything from what is called an asset-based model, which means I look at what the students have and build on what they have, give them what they need to make sure that we're going to retain them and then be successful. Now, for our conference, I want to make sure, for our particular conference, it was last Saturday, April the 6th, again, the inaugural Black Male Retention and Success Conference. What we did is that we wanted to make sure that students were going to have access to the people who are in the know. So this was not a traditional, purely academic conference where we're purely going to just talk about sociology or we're going to just talk about education. We had everything happening on this conference, at this conference. When you have an opportunity to look through your booklets, you will see that we had things in terms of financial wealth. You will see we had people who were dealing with issues of health in the community. You will see that we had people actually dealing with college success. You will see that we had people dealing with history. We had folks on this campus who were engaged in a number of different wonderful plenary sessions, and then toward the end of our conference we had what was called a meeting of the minds. This is very non-traditional. I am tired of going to conferences that are simply feel-good moments. Everybody gets together and we're all in love and we pass out our cards and we say all these wonderful letters and credentials we have behind our names, then we don't see each other again until the next conference. We wanted to have a meeting of the minds. So after all this wonderful knowledge that we had earlier in the day, at the end of the day, everybody came back together in the huge lecture hall to actually discuss what are the plans for moving forward. It's not good enough if we only meet one time a year. What are the plans for moving forward? Which means, what are we going to do in May? What are we going to do in June? What are we going to do in October if we're truly sincere about retention? So I said that retention is a part of a culture. Culture is not something that you just do on one day. Culture is something that is a part of who you are. So every single day. Now, for this particular conference, one of the other things that I wanted to make sure that we did was not just provide students with wonderful plenary sessions. We wanted to be able to also provide students with contacts to colleges and universities, not only in the state of Michigan, but also in Ohio and in Indiana as well. We had 11 colleges and university admissions representatives that were actually on campus recruiting students. And one of the things that I made sure that I did is we actually had a 45-minute networking session. So there was no sessions going on. No one had anything else to do except for to go and talk to the representative from the University of Michigan or the representative from Ferris State or the representative from Grand Valley State or wherever those particular folks were from. And I forgot. I said Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. Howard University from Washington, D.C. was here as well. I don't want to leave out Howard. I apologize for that.